see the deepest stars. I can see the cosmos. I couldn't see those during the day. Daytime is for our interactions down here on Earth, and nighttime is for seeing the big picture. And how beautiful is it that we know now with science that the light from the stars that I'm seeing is actually light. It takes so long for the rays to get to me that I'm actually looking at ancient light when I look at the stars. And to echo what Rabbi Katz said, we have a word in the English language for a little light that's lit in the darkness that doesn't give you enough light to use, and that all you can do is look at it and enjoy it. It's called a star. Stars, you can't function with the light of stars. The only thing we can really do with them is look at them and enjoy them. The Hanukkah lights are stars. They are lights in the darkness that are designed to make us think about the universe, to make us think big picture. And they shine a light that is ancient. That's from a long, long time ago, that is coming across the cosmos and making us think about God's big world, so that when the sun rises, we know exactly what we have to do with ourselves. That's what Hanukkah is all about.
That's good. That's very good.
We light the Hanukkah candles day 1, 1, day 2, 2. We move up in number. Because as time moves forward, the light expands and expands and expands. There's a second view that we don't follow. There was a dispute. A lot of rabbinic disputes in the Talmud. There's a dispute whether we should do it that way, 1, and then 2, and then 3, or whether we should start on the first day with 8, and then go to 7, and then go to 6, down to 1. What's the dispute about? Well, the dispute is about what are we focusing on? The view that we follow focuses on how much light we've spread in the world. As the days go on, we're spreading more and more and more and more light. But there's another perspective. And it's also true. We don't follow that one in practice, because the human perspective is that we see more and more light as we continue to spread God's word. But there's also a hidden perspective, which is that as we move forward, as we spread light, as we have events like this, all the different ideologies, all the various different ways of thinking that have existed get peeled away, ultimately leading us to a point where there's only one light. So there used to be many, many, many more ways of thinking. People used to believe in many, many gods. And as we move forward in time, there's less and less false ideas. There's less and less. We extinguish those. And ultimately we have that one light, the single light, that we all believe in one God. On that day, the Lord will be one, and his name will be one.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
This is our perspective on Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you see that? The offering would be first. Come on, guys. When the first sin in the book, people think that it's eating of the tree in the garden. That was not the first sin. Rabbi Shlomo Karlov teaches us. When God asked man, tell me, what did you do? If he would have said that to God, listen, Hashem, do to me whatever you want, but please, don't touch my wife. God would have said, okay, you know what? I forgive everything. Instead, he blamed her, and then that was the first stupid mistake. And ever since then, we're here to fix that. So when Jim said, you want to be first, you go ahead. That was the beginning of the return to Garden of Eden.
Well, we're here to thank you for fixing it for us as the nations. And we're so grateful to the Jewish people and the nation of Israel for the victory that you portrayed through the Maccabees, through the Hanukkah story, when anti-Semitism rose up through the Greek culture to influence governments against the ways of God. You stood strong and you preserved the light.
Yes.
Even for 2,300 years of anti-Semitism, you preserved the light.
Thank you.
And in Israel's darkest time, 80 years ago, when the Holocaust began, you preserved the light for the nations.
Right.
So that we could be here today, so that we can be instructed, that we can understand the ways of the Lord and be successful and worship the God of Israel. And as a member of the Schindler family, I especially want to express my gratitude and how important this day is to me. Because it was 25 years ago that Steven Spielberg released Schindler's List to instruct the world of Israel's and the Jewish people's darkest times. And if you know that movie, it begins with a candle being lit on Shabbat. That the light was still preserved in the darkest of times by the Jewish people. And how a person like Oscar Schindler was led in the ways of God through the righteousness he saw portrayed in his workers who became his saviors, his friends, and his family. So thank you so much. That movie is going to be released this week, again during Hanukkah, December 7th this week, for a whole new generation to be reminded of the great gift we have to the world and the Jewish people. Thank you.
Amen.
I grew up in the heartland of the United States, in a home where we loved Israel and we loved the Jewish people. There was just one problem. We never met a Jew.
That's right.
There wasn't a Jewish person within several hundred miles of where I live, to my knowledge.
You know, your situation is good because many places there were people that grew up to hate Jews and there were no Jews there.
We loved Jews, but we didn't know any. I was a college senior in Oklahoma City, having been raised on a farm in Kansas, in a conversation one day with 3 of my classmates, and we were finishing our second year of the study of Greek, the Greek language, Koine Greek, and when it suddenly occurred to the 4 of us, we knew Greek, but no one ever discussed studying Hebrew. And to my knowledge at that time, in evangelical colleges across America, Hebrew was not offered. We thought, we need to know Hebrew, but how can we know Hebrew? We got in my 1963 Chevy, and a 6-cylinder engine that was so small I could get from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2 hours. We drove down the 39th Street Expressway of Oklahoma City with the yellow pages in our hand looking for a Jewish synagogue, something of which we had never been to or ever seen. We went there, we knocked on the door, a cantor opened the door, greeted us, and we say, we're 4 young guys who are preparing to be pastors someday. We don't know Hebrew, and we don't know anybody who can teach us Hebrew. Can you help us?
Wow.
We started meeting with him every Monday afternoon. We never actually learned much Hebrew because we were so fascinated with Judaism. We said, teach us about the ways of the Jewish people. And we ended up, our conversations always turned that direction, and we never got much Hebrew learned. But as I seasoned and matured in my faith, I discovered that there are 2 ways of looking at the world. There's the Greco-Roman way of perceiving the world, or there's the Hebraistic way of viewing the world. And you will think in one of those categories or the other. One is essentially by self-definition, either the worship of so-called many gods, small g, or no God at all. The other one is a keen awareness of reverence and awe of God. In fact, when you train to be a pastor, you train for preaching. Homiletics is the name of the technical name of the course. You right away begin to understand that there's 2 ways of looking at preaching. One is the Greco-Roman way, where the emphasis is oratory. The other is the Hebraistic way, where the emphasis is revelation. So you'll either focus on oratory, which makes me look good, or you'll focus on revelation, which makes God who he really is, the source of all truth. That's the 2 options in worldviews that we have today. And at this point, my story ties in with Judah Maccabees. The struggle during the time of the Maccabean revolt, or the wonderful Reformation or revival took place, is really a microcosm of the macro experience we're in right now. The opposition of 2 different worldviews that are clashing everywhere. That's why on the last day of our tours, when we bring people here, my wife has been, this is her 68th trip here, and she's arranged for over 100 trips. But as we come, if we can, on the last day, I like to go to what is alleged to be the graves of the Maccabees. And we have the bus, people get out of the bus, and I stand there and I pray a Maccabean commissioning upon them. Because that is a picture of what I want them to become like, in light of the 2 struggles of the 2 great worldviews that are taking on happening today. So this is Hanukkah is more than just a season of the year, though precious though it is. It's a picture of the struggle against that which is against God and who God really is. We have a ministry, we have the privilege of partnering with this wonderful brother who's become an extremely close friend. He and I share a number of mutual experiences. And with Rabbi Tolling and Donna, which has blessed us so much as we partner with them. We also, my wife and I, we just stepped away from a lifetime of pastoring, and I am now full-time in this kind of ministry, trying to bring biblical truths to governance. We're in our 5th year of a ministry in Washington, D.C., the members of Congress. We're in our second year now of ministry at the United Nations in New York City. But catch this. When we go to D.C., we don't bring the truth of D.C. into the halls of Congress or in the Bible study we have in the State Department. Let me have the Bible for a moment. What we bring is this, revelation.
Amen.
We don't have anything to offer with a Greco-Roman mindset. What we bring is the Hebraistic understanding of the revelation of God. Otherwise, we have nothing to bring.
That's right.
We have a ministry in the United Nations. The United Nations is quite self-consumed. We cannot solve the world's problems. And so we go there in our Hammersfold Fellowship, a weekly Bible study in the Secretariat, the 38-story iconic building, with a small group of people who believe there's an answer here.
Amen.
The answer in these clashing world systems that's represented by Judah Maccabees is God versus all that is light versus all that is dark. And the truth is down here. In the next few days, we will be in the EU headquarters in Belgium, Strasbourg. We'll be in the next few days in Geneva and The Hague, the UN headquarters. And when we get there, The Hague will portray itself as the world court, the place where law comes from. But it's not. The law comes from here.
Amen.
It comes from this book. And I wear with great joy what was given to me, Rabbi, by one of the colleagues you invited 2 or 3 of our Bible studies ago, who presented me with what all of you will recognize as the Nano Bible. 4 million letters carved, only Israeli technology. This is not a microchip. This is carved onto a silicon wafer. The world's largest microscope, the electron microscope, can read the Tanakh. The entire Tanakh is here on my wrist. And I carry that because this is the reminder that it's not by oratory, it's not by human skill, it is by revelation.
That's right.
And so this is a sacred moment. We're in Zion.
Amen.
We have the Word. We have the revelation of God. And with that in mind, I want to close by just simply praying a commissioning prayer over us to have the Maccabean spirit upon us. In this environment which we set ourselves. If I can quote my conversation, Anna, with you, when I said to her, the time is short, she looked back at me and said, the time is up. That jolted my world.
Amen.
I don't like hearing that. And I want to just commission. You're 15 years of age. I talked to you outside. I thought you'd be the youngest in here. You're not. There's a young boy right over here. He was here a moment ago. Well, now you win the prize. You are the youngest. I don't know what age he is, but he was younger than you. And I prayed down to the...
How old is he? 10. Okay.
I pray down to the youngest one here, that the spirit of the Maccabees come upon us all, and we stand, no matter what it costs us, like the Maccabees, for the revelation of God. Not the human system, as good with all the wonderful things it brings, but with the truth of God's revelation from Zion. Thank you for the privilege.
So we're very close to the end. As you said, we're here with this group here in D.C., David's capital. I want to, since you concluded with Zion, we're going to, right before the end, we're going to have Rabbi Shlomo Katz sing with us. From Zion comes out Torah, from the Word of God, from Jerusalem. We're only getting a little taste of Rabbi Shlomo because we got to watch him. He puts on a full. You get magneted to his singing and to his love to every single person, as it says in Psalms, for the sake of my brother and my friend, and for the sake of the house of God, I will speak peace upon you. From Zion comes that Torah. Please. כי מציון תצא תורה.
כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר השם מירושלים ויקים מציון